BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. So, welcome to this other appointment of 50 Minutes of Experience, and today I'm with Ariya Karatas from Bologna, Italy. So, welcome, Ariya.
Hello.
So, today we talk about your experience in photography and not only in photography. And as I know, you prepared something to talk about your next project, and I'm curious to know about that. But what I would love to know more in the beginning is a bit about how did you discover this passion for photography?
Well, I think it actually started a long time ago when I was a kid, but I kind of denied it for a long time. So it happened that last year I got a camera from my uncle, which was like super casual gift. And it happened to be like to change my life completely. So I was kind of lost and like I lived for a long time in depression. And when I had that camera in my hands, things suddenly changed. I had a different mindset and I started going out with a camera and it was like a film camera. So yeah, I was going out and I was exploring new stuff. And at the same time, I was finding a lot of beauty, which like helped me to get out of this hole. And yeah, and that's how it all started. And I just said, I can't stop doing this. It's my thing.
It's quite a compulsion, you know. I think it's an addiction for most of us.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been working.
It's really nice to understand why it's an addiction for every one of us, you know, because every one of us has different perspective, different visual, and different way to use the camera. And as some they do it more street photography, more others they doing erotic stuff or anything else. You know, there's always something inside of our picture, our way to shoot that hide also something about our sometimes trauma or perversion. What about
Yeah,
you?
exactly. Well, when I started doing photography, a lot of my friends were doing nudes. So I was like, what's around nudes? Why there is such a hype? So I was like, I'm gonna try. So I found this girl and I took some pictures of her, nudes, of course, and then I realized what was it about. So there is like a big dominance over that person that gives you power, and they're vulnerable, which I really like appreciate people being able to pose nude, which I wouldn't be able to do even in front of like great photographers. I don't mind. So yeah, I discovered the hype behind it, but then I was like, it's not my thing. I like doing it. I don't mind. I love doing everything. I can shoot whatever. I'm really into fashion. I love fashion, but at the same time, I work on my own projects, which are like trauma healing and stuff like that. So that's what my project is about. It's called Seeds, and it comes from a story I read on an Osho book, and it's about this woman. She loses her child, and she goes completely crazy. So there is this guy in town, and he tells her, "Go to Buddha. He will give you the medicine." So she goes to Buddha and he tells her, I would like you to find some mustard seeds in a house that no one died in. So she goes around all these houses and she obviously can't find a house where nobody died. And the lesson was that this is kind of like a pain that afflicts all of us. It's a universal pain. So yeah, I decided to build my project around this story, and I started going like to people which I knew, and now I'm going to strangers. So it's like I'm doing the same thing she was doing. I'm getting into strangers' houses and taking pictures of what's left of the people that died. So basically I'm like taking pictures of objects that are left from people, and I'm meeting a lot of people, and the project is growing in a very like articulate way. since I'm not only taking pictures of objects, but I also found people that like published books about the death of their like parent or something like that. There's this guy, his name is Riccardo Froloni. He wrote a book about his father, which died. And yeah, I went to his house, took some pictures, and I'm going to use some of his poetry in the book. So yeah, it's growing and it's going in different directions, and we will see what will happen.
Yeah, sure. It's the base of research. When you start just to research for a reason or for another, you will get in touch with a lot of different details that write you in a different
Exactly.
way. And that's the most interesting part to be a photographer and researcher in that field, that we can also discover something was hid inside of us. And as I know you don't want to talk about your origin, but I can feel it a lot that your origin influenced your kind of pictures, especially in the aesthetics of the people, and especially in the use of the lights. And yeah, I will not go to ask you about that, but yeah, I will go around that topic to go in something, in any case, a bit deeper. And I would love to know if there are some experience in your life that ride you also in not a good way, to feeling what you was doing in photography was probably something was riding you in a cruel part of your life.
Well, my origin as I'm Eastern European and Middle Eastern European, let's say that. I'm half Kurdish, half Russian, which is pretty complicated, but I grew up in Bulgaria. So yeah, I guess the aesthetics of the pain and the decadence are something that you can find in all of my pictures. Even maybe like the picture is something joyful, there is always something melancholic about it, I guess. At least that's what I try to do. I like death actually brought me to life, to the celebration of life. And the first person that I lost in my life was my grandpa, and that was the beginning of the end. Let's say, like, let's suppose
Oh,
that's the thing. And it's a thing that I really didn't understand. I was 14, so it led me to a very destructive lifestyle, and yeah, I wasn't like really happy. And then the death of my father, which happened 1 year ago almost, brought me out of this hole and kind of like closed the circle which I was running in, the spiral. And yeah, and like that brought me to celebrate life, and that's how it all started. Like I knew the beginning. I knew that I wanted to be a photographer, but I didn't know how. I ignored it. I had a friend, she was like really into photography, and I was like, yeah, what's about photography? It's nothing cool. I don't like it. But in the meantime, I was like super intrigued, and I was taking pictures by myself secretly.
yeah,
I just didn't want to admit that I was cool because everybody were like, oh, photography is so cool. And I was like, no, it's not cool, you know?
yeah. I totally feel it. And I know that you spend most of your time in Lodi, that is quite away from Bologna. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't want to focus on Lodi in that time. But I will ask you that I think you are really influenced from Bologna city, especially in your poetry part. And as you, I also wrote. I wrote 2 books of poetry that I feel that took part of my life really intensive when I was not able to shooting picture, and I started to just writing down everything. And now I'm not. It's really crazy because I'm not able anymore to write anything. And
Okay, that's an interesting point we're coming to.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I was like, super over productive. I wrote kind of 2000 poetry in 1 year.
Wow.
Really, I had to put out a lot. And then from a moment to another, from almost 2 months after my mother died, just stopped, and I had no
Yeah.
words anymore.
Okay, I do
And
understand.
I never goes back to write. It's I don't have it was just an impulse to put down words and writing. I was not really thinking about poetry. I never had the like passion to writing something.
Okay.
Just started from a moment, stopped at another moment, and I'm curious to know how the poetry influenced the photography, or how the photography influenced your poetry.
Well, I know I would I would not ever define myself with a label, but I have always felt more as a writer, like to myself, if I speak to myself honestly, but not like a writer that wants to do that as a job, but just a person that has the necessity to write. So I started writing when I was a kid, before photography, of course, because yeah, that's what it happened. Like, I don't know, it's just the way it is. And honestly, I'm not able to put the same energy in both, and not I don't always have the same energy. I mean, sometimes I'm like really busy with photography and I give all of my energy to photography, and other times it's poetry. And I think both are communication tools, so it depends on what you want to communicate. Like, I usually don't let anyone read my poetry, and it's something very personal. I started doing that lately, and I'm working on a book of poetry and photography. But yeah, it's just two different communication tools, and yeah,
I feel them.
just
They are really, really similar. I think photography is a good medium to have these similarities to poetry, because it's composed by metaphor most of the time, and it's composed by
true.
details that everyone recognizes in a different way. And the poetry has the same power of photography. Let you travel in some meaning of the words, and you just jump from a meaning to another, because sometimes there is this analogies of stepping out from the real meaning of the word, and photography has this power. And yeah, was in my experience was really good that I started to write and to read more about also meaning and etymologies and the logic of the writing, to understand better how to work as a curator in photography. And I understood also the real importance of using picture as comma and point inside of a storyline. That's detain the rhythmic inside of a book. That probably something not everyone focus in a work in photography. But I think when we have really strong picture, really strong scenery, it's really important. Then we take a breath between a story and another, or between a chapter and another inside of our story. And I want to know how much is important to breathe inside of this process for you.
To breathe.
Yeah, to breathe, to just breathe inside of your life.
Well, I do breathing exercises because it's sometimes really hard to breathe. So yeah, I have this thing. I take deep breaths almost all the time when I feel like I'm stuck or whatever. But I don't feel that stuck anymore. I feel like I'm pretty fertile, like in my mind. But I wanted to say something about like poetry, photography. I think they're both should be looked in a book, like there should be taken by a book. So you read poetry not on your computer, you read it in a book. So it's photography. So you can, as you said, you can put a comma or whatever you want. Like, that's the way photography should be seen on paper. But at the same time, I believe that poetry is more honest than photography. To me, photography, the picture itself, it's not reality. It's something you create. So yeah, to me, there are two different things, but they should be taken in the same, like in the same way.
Hmm. It's a nice point of view. Uh,
Thank you.
I ever think when I think about the next book I will publish. I mean, with this project, I push a lot in doing magazine book publication in general. And when I think about always next book, next book, next book, I always think about doing mixing the media, using the media in a different way. And I'm in a way, I will love to say that I would love to buy a Xerox, putting here close to me, and printing the pictures of others, and deliver this picture to someone in the world to write on poetry or other stuff or letter or else, and going on to restart to making the real post production of a book. But it's a nice point of view what you said. So we have our last minutes of conversation, as we don't go really long for this podcast. And I would love to know something is really touched you during your process as photographer. I mean, not to be just a photographer, but happened something inside of your life because of photography that you would never expect and touched you really deeply, then changing something you was not able to change before?
Well, this type of things happen all the time if you're mindful enough and look at the stuff that's going on with your life. So it's really hard for me to say now like this. But yeah, every day something happens and it gives you signs. I don't know. Actually, not sure. Probably because you're asking me right now, I cannot answer. But when I will like go in my kitchen and start cooking, I will have the answer for this.
Yeah, the silence is always the most inspirative part of our life, I think, and every answer will come always some minute after we was thinking about.
Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite song? How can I know? I don't know like all the songs of the world to choose one. It's hard question.
This is hard also for me. I mean, fortunately, not anymore. Someone asked me, "Oh, what is your favorite song? Oh, what is your favorite color? Oh, what is your favorite food?" And
Oh, with colors, it's easier. You have like few colors and you can like choose between those. But when you have like infinite choices, then it's hard.
But I always think about, there is no favorite things, and probably if there is, I don't have the word now. Probably the word
Exactly.
didn't burn to come to me now, right now, and say what is, because it's everything. I think a matter of what we think to know, and as we know, also I'm really passionate about anthropology and also etymology, and we don't have enough word, I think, to describe our world, so it's really difficult to describe what is my favorite things then.
Yeah, exactly. I think the same way.
So
I completely agree.
So I thank you a lot for this small conversation with you. I'm really curious
Thanks to you.
to see your evolution in your project and what come out from your mind and your vision. And if anyone want to see the work of Ariya, can go in the link in the description. There are all the link of her, of Instagram, Linktree, Lomography, and what else. So
everything.
thank you a lot for that, and
thanks to you.
A great day of inspiration.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Learn more about our project at allmylinks.com/BerlinExplorer or visit our Instagram and follow Berlin Explorer Project.